Hello, sisters. As you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I went to the washroom and got some food. Okay. Hey, Matt Adam. A bird killed me. You're right. We didn't have class today. But my work actually was less than I thought it was going to be today. And I realized I actually have like so much crap to do on Friday. I don't have time to do this on Friday. So I decided if we can I want to do part 1 and part 2 of this chapter like 2 days right after each other. So part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow. Okay. Let me, while we're here, be 1,000% sure. The fuck is my phone, bro? About what time the reading is going to be tomorrow. Oh, what'd you do to my phone? I blame you. Hey, Allie. I'm sorry you're not feeling well. I hope you feel good again, or better soon. Oh, yeah. Okay. I don't have work at all tomorrow. So it will be at noon, which is the scheduled time. I mostly try to aim for noon because mostly my morning job ends like before then. And mostly my evening job starts like after 3, so it's kind of the perfect time to do it at noon. Okay, so I put this thing here for Momo and she stayed here for a whole fucking 5 minutes. Momo! Unacceptable. Come here. Come see the ladies. Can't you sleep here? Sleep here. Look, I'll give you a treat. Here. Momo the phone thief. No, well, I left it in the washroom. Hey. Yo, I decided. So as you know, if you are like a long time watcher of my live streams, well, long time, like the 4 months or whatever we've been doing it. Yeah, I need to move the sign up, but I'm going to see if she even likes this. If she likes this, if she actually uses it, then I'll leave it here. If she doesn't use it, I'm just going to remove this from here. Thank you. Oh, you just want more, don't you? Here. Here. Yes, Sabrina, it does suck. Because it also means that all my free time is in the middle of the day. My evening job, I need to like go to sleep almost as soon as I get home from my evening job because I have to be awake at like 4:30 in the morning. Okay, anyway. Right, so general things. Let's general channel updates before we get going. First general channel update. I have tentatively, let me link it for you guys. I've tentatively scheduled all of the intercourse videos, like the intercourse book by Dworkin. Momo, lie down, chill out. The fuck did you do with all your mouses? Okay, well, lie down. Discussions, readings. Okay. So I might need to split some of them in half, but I looked at the page numbers and I think I split one of them in half. I think that's the only one I'm going to have to split, but we'll see. So just like this time, instead of looking every single day on what's posted, or because I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on YouTube you can only see my next 5 scheduled live streams. So through the playlist, you can see all of the scheduled live streams, more than 5. And also through the playlist, if you just keep track of the playlist, then if I have to change one of the times, like by an hour or skip, like push it to the next day or something, you could just keep checking the playlist and you'll be able to catch all the videos of that reading. And you know, the discussions always are like immediately after the reading. So if you know when the reading is, then you don't need to worry about the discussion. Right. Right. So yeah, so I tried to get her in the shop because also these books are very depressing and upsetting, and I thought this would be like nice. Your Momo, your therapy cat. When my hair is short enough, she licks my head like I'm a cat. It's funny. Okay, yeah, so Intercourse is the next book we're gonna read. After that, we definitely need to read something lesbian specific. I'm kind of leaning towards rereading Marilyn Fry. I want to reread Marilyn Fry before August, before I go to Michigan. But I'm thinking maybe we need some kind of lighthearted lesbian history book before we do Marilyn Fry, because like obviously it was fucking amazing, but again, it's like kind of like deep and like heavy stuff. So give water. I didn't give her any water. I just gave her treats. Yeah, okay, stay here forever now, please. Okay, well, she looks pretty installed these days. I mean, right now. Fuck, I'm tired. I didn't think I was tired. Okay, so yeah, that's the update of the channel. No, it's all good. Okay, other things. I have an idea, and I don't know how stupid it is, or how not stupid it is, or whatever, but I have this idea. Let me know what you guys think about it. So I'm good at like scheduling the videos and then doing the videos. I'm not good at the rest of the stuff. I think I would like to have like one woman volunteer as like whenever I start streaming, like not like it's like a job that you have to do it 100% of the time. But I'd like to have one woman who comes to a lot of my streams that when you come here, you go and post on Spinster. I'd like to have another woman that who comes to a lot of my streams. When you come here and you see that I'm streaming, post it on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of feel like I'm not good at doing that stuff, like getting everything connected. So I'd like to like kind of give assignments to women who would be interested in doing that kind of thing. Because some of you come like all the time, or like at least 50% of the time or something. So if I had a few of you who are willing to do something like that, have like an assigned social media platform to share things on, that would be cool. So if you're interested in doing that, email me. Only purpose of the email would be for me to tell you this is like your assigned thing that you're volunteering to do. But it's not like you're obligated to do anything. And also, it's not like I'm going to be doing anything about it. It's like you come to the stream and you see that I'm streaming and you like post it on Twitter or Facebook or something. Like I'm not going to do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Sabrina, feel free to share me there. Yeah, so if you, I mean, you don't even need to like have an assignment. I'm just saying it would be like useful if some of you guys did that once in a while. Okay, that's my other housekeeping thing. My last housekeeping thing. I have decided we're going to see how it goes. As you know, I have many anonymous Twitter accounts because of my perma banning in 2018. Holy shit, has it been 4 years? Must be 2019. I can't remember. I will read the article about it. Because of my perma ban, I have had a lot of anonymous Twitter accounts. I have decided I'm going to make a Twitter account specifically for my YouTube channel and see how long that lasts. I just feel like what's going on with my YouTube channel right now is nice and good and everything. And I like how it actually feels like very intimate. I think that's nice. But I think it's like a little too like sequestered. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're in this like the corner of the internet where we're not really like reaching anybody else. And it's not like my goal with my YouTube channel is to get like millions of views. Obviously not. I'm very happy with the way things are right now. But also, I know some women who they're like, "Oh, I just found you. I wish I had been able to find you before. I only found you because this one friend told me about you." And like I just feel bad. Like I wish if women want to find me, I want to make myself more findable. It's not so much that I want to have like a huge following. It's not like my goal is to have like 20,000 subscribers or something. I don't even want like a ton of subscribers. I just wanted, you know what I'm trying to say? Do you get what I'm trying to say? I think you get it. So, Lisa feels the same way. Yeah, Lisa, you know what I'm talking about, right? Anyway, so I think I'm going to set up tonight probably like a gender non-compliant, because that's GNC, like gender non-compliant something Twitter, and then whatever. We aren't enough for you, Benji. Yeah, I'm more attention. Okay. Right, Lisa, exactly. Lisa says, I wish there was a bigger overreaching community. Yeah. So I'm going to try to post my stuff always on this one Twitter account at least. And then also hopefully on Spinster. But, as you know, if you followed me for a few months, I'm very unreliable at that shit. It's like completely sporadic. So, okay. You want some? I don't know. It's not very exciting. Yeah, possible person, exactly. Possible person says, I like that we all kind of know each other, but it does feel a bit circular. Exactly. No. Okay. That's all the housekeeping. Oh my god, what? What, this banality of evil video? Yes, I saw your comment. Yes, is a chapter quote from chapter 2. Yes. Oh my god, Lisa, that's kind of what I want to do. Like, not make people make videos, but like get people thinking, and like the exact, like, Lisa makes me so happy. Amazing. Okay. Let's talk about the chapter. Fucking depressing, eh? I mean, called Gynocide. Wasn't going to be pleasant. Or. So, for this, there's a really good halfway point where there's like an ellipses, like the little flowery thing, and then it starts with a new epigraph. But for intercourse, there's one chapter that's like 53 pages long. I think, I can't remember. I did like 1 in the morning last night, which was like bad call because I had to wake up at like 5. But like, and there's no good like stopping point, so I just like kind of figured one break between the paragraphs that was about halfway. What was my point? Okay, whatever. Let me. Okay. All right. Okay. So she starts off with what I basically view as like the thesis of the book at this point, because we're like, we're 5 out of 6 chapters now. I mean, there's gonna be 3 more videos because I've cut each chapter into half because they're quite long chapters. But we're 5/6 of the way through the book now, ish, whatever. And this is something that she really anchors everything to. Women are useful in society. Women get like protection and respect, conditional and like fraudulent as it is, from men based on their ability to have babies. Is the only thing women can do that men cannot do. This like the tenet of radical feminism, right? She starts off by very clearly stating this quote from Virginia Woolf, that when children cease to be altogether desirable, women ceased to be necessary. So And like right off the bat, like the second page is about Nazis. Like great. Like, oh my god, this book is so brutal. Okay, so also when she's talking about the Nazis, Mother Service Department and the National Socialist Women's Movement, um, like for the repopulation of like the correct kind of Aryan children and all that shit with Himmler and everything. She very briefly mentions like the fiancés of SS officers. And she very briefly mentions that rape was sometimes an aspect of it. I've watched some documentaries, which I couldn't name, it's been quite a long time, um, where they literally would like kidnap girls off the street who looked like they had the right breeding or whatever, you know, and then like bring them to like hospitals or infirmaries or whatever, like specific places designed specifically for this. And then they were like usually like teenage girls, right? Young women. And it was basically like a brothel for the SS officers. And it was like a guy gets assigned the girl who's in there, and then he rapes her until she gets pregnant. And then once she's pregnant, like one of two things happens. Either one, they get married and she becomes like his wife because now she's pregnant, which is pretty rare. Or two, she gives birth to the baby and only the father is recorded because that's what matters, right? And if the baby is, you know, has some kind of a birth defect or something, killed, mother is used to breed again. Like, she mentions it, but I think that she didn't really go, she could have gone deeper. I mean, I understand why. The chapter is like 50 pages long. She can't go deep into everything. But I don't think she went deep enough into the fact that women were literally used like as breeding machines by the Nazis. Okay. So she makes the point that in this system, which I think this is like broadly applicable to the rest of the chapter, which is why she starts it off this way. In this, like, what's the term she uses here? Like with the racially privileged woman. Like either way, the woman is being used as like a breeding tool, or being used as like because she's like this is like the what's the term she uses here? Yeah, like the racially inferior. I feel so bad, like even saying this, even reading this, like oh my god, it's so upsetting. Is used as like you know like a sexual object for men to release their sexual energies and their aggression and stuff, and obviously as like medical experiments and stuff. Like, but either way, both of the women are being used because of their sex for their sex by men. Either way. Um, and this is basically like the point of the entire chapter so far, because she points out the same thing with like in American society, right? You have like the good mothers, the good wives, right? Who are in like the acceptable conforming relationship where they married a good man who has a job and they stay at home, raise the babies, and they're all super depressed and they're all on tons of drugs, being drugged up because they hate their lives. So again, they're being exploited by doing the right thing, and it's exploitation, and it's like they're doing the right thing. It's supposed to be that they're happier, right? But actually, it's like a trap. It's like a fraudulent deal, as she was talking about in the first chapter. Or you have the women who are not doing the right thing, the poor women who are, you know, generally not settled in one marriage. Generally, they're not stay-at-home moms really because they can't be because they don't have like they need to support themselves and their children. Uh, but I think that's why she makes this point at the beginning because it's such a well, you know how Dworkin is. It's so brutal. It's like this really really brutal way of us seeing that this is the two options for women, and then she like spreads it out over like look, the two options stay the same no matter where and how you are. Either you're the conforming woman who does what you're supposed to, or you're the non-conforming woman who doesn't submit to the control you're supposed to submit to. Either way, you're getting fucked over by like a male supremacist society. Um Anyway, that's like kind of one point. Obviously, the other point is to do with like, um, what is this thing? The population control program, as she views it. Kaz says, damned if we do, damned if we don't. Fucking exactly. No, tell us more, Strawberry. I think I'm going to leave this bookshelf here. I need to adjust my stuff, though, because, like, I think I need to move this up higher. Or, like, here. I'm not sure. Maybe I should switch these two and, like, fold this so you can only see the axe. I'm not exactly sure. Okay. Yes, Lisa, exactly. That's the thing. Literally, every woman is getting fucked over. Every woman is getting colonized. Yes, it's just the form that is different. Okay. So this also, a lot of which talked about in this chapter, ties into the last chapter, which is that when reproductive control, it's like who's doing the controlling, is offered to women, aka sterilization and abortion, mostly it's to benefit the men. It's like so what her point was in the last chapter, the abortion chapter, no, 2 chapters ago, sorry, 2 chapters ago in the abortion chapter, she talked about when are conservative men okay with abortion? Only in cases of rape and incest. Why? Because they don't want for them, the man, to have to take care of their wife's baby from a rapist. So that is the one situation in which they're okay with that because it's to the man's benefit, right? In every other situation, abortion is unacceptable. I mean, obviously, like really extremists don't even agree with that, but she was just making the point that in the cases where men do genuinely support abortion, it's because it's to their own benefit. So in this chapter, when she's talking about like the racial population control programs, it's the same thing. It's like sterilization is bad for women. Like we don't want women to be able to say yes or no. Well, not sterilization. Okay. Women having the option of I never want to be pregnant or if I get pregnant, I want to end this pregnancy. Women shouldn't have those options unless they are the women having the worthless children as she speaks about it. And again, it's like is that because the women are choosing and deciding that their children are worthless? No. It's because it's the male supremacist society that has deemed their children worthless and deemed them not capable and not worthy of the power of controlling their own finances, their own time, their own work to the point of being able to actually provide for the children that they want to have or already have or whatever. Oh, why are you going to sleep? Okay, I'm sorry. Useless Strawberry, are you talking about the girls who were raped by the SS officers? But which girls are you talking about? Like, I understand that you're saying what happened to them, but who were these girls specifically? No, Kaz, that doesn't sound conspiratorial at all. I mean, look at what she's been saying so far. Like, okay, so Useless Strawberry says in her country, I don't know which country. Sounds like maybe Poland to me. Girls who had contact, talked to, or even were believed to have dated German soldiers. After the Germans left, they were rounded up, their hair was cut off, and they were put on trucks and paraded around the town to be mocked. If they had children with soldiers, the children were often sterilized. Oh, in Norway. Okay. As if the women decided to do it, as if it was like a completely free choice, as if no was really an option. And Kaz is saying, this is my extremely conspiratorial brain speaking, maybe an added benefit to the attempts to sterilize women of color was instilling a hatred of us by the women who were forced to carry babies. No, exactly. This is what, Kaz, you haven't, I don't think you've caught all the readings, but Dworkin literally makes that point, not with sterilization, but with abortion, that the right-wing, conservative, traditional religious women, they're in the same position of being forced to carry out pregnancies as any other women. Like, all women are in the same position, right? But they resent the woman who has the abortion, the woman who has the access to the abortion when she does not. They resent that we were both in the position of being forced to carry a pregnancy and she was able to escape it and I was not. So what you're saying to me makes perfect sense based on what we've read so far in the book. Yeah. Your dog was being an asshole. Is this the my dog ate my homework of Benji University? Okay. She's sleeping. Okay. I feel like I'm getting very distracted by Momo. Oh my gosh. So fucking misogynistic and disgusting. Okay. Okay. So, she talks about contraceptives being tested on Puerto Rican women and black women. I will say, I really wish that she had had more of an awareness and more like data and references. I mean, obviously she wrote what she knew about because like she's British, right? So she's bright. She's am I wrong? She's British, right? She's writing a lot about American populations, but I think it's just because like okay, even as a Canadian, right? Reading this, I'm like it's all the same shit. Like it's the same shit everywhere. Um, but I really wish she had included more stuff about Indigenous women because I just think it's like if she can point out how Black women are being exploited and controlled and you know the way she sees it like basically this is like a very like slow intentional genocide right of women and specifically poor women which obviously means women of color um if she's pointing out that mechanism welfare she can point out like the similar thing with another mechanism like she's pointing out all these different mechanisms right I just feel like she missed out on what kind of one of the mechanisms to like expand the way we think about it yeah. Andrea was American? Why did I think she was British? She must have spent time in the UK. Yeah, Dragon, I know. Dragon says we're used to being ignored. It's as if we don't exist. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So one of the concepts she talks about is how so women their value Their value is in the fact that they're capable of reproduction. However, when you are producing children that are worthless, right, then that value actually becomes a negative value rather than a positive value. It becomes a reason to hate you because you're like causing trouble for society, more mouths to feed, more of the getting trying to get more money from the government, all this shit. Um, yeah, she talks about elderly women. Literally, while I was reading this section about women aging and being in old age homes and the way they're treated, like already I knew this stuff, obviously. But reading it from Dworkin, reading that she published this in 1983 and this was her observation of things are not any better. In Canada, things are quite bad for the elderly population. And I think that part of the problem, especially with feminists, because like you barely see feminists talking about like aging women and the elderly population and the needs of aging women. I think part of the problem is like at least for me, like for myself, when I think about the issues that our elderly women are facing, my thought is always like, oh, I can deal with that later, or like I'll deal with that when it becomes a problem for me, which is obviously selfish. Well, not like for me, but like when it becomes more of like an imminent future thing. That's obviously like very defeatist and will prevent anything from changing. Um, I've been thinking about that a lot since I read that essay in Lesbian Psychologies about what the lesbian community can do for aging lesbians. Um, I don't have any solutions or whatever, but we should probably read a book about that, about like a radical feminist analysis of aging women or something like that. Um, I don't know. I think about it. I don't know much more beyond that at this point. Um, I feel like the issue with ageism and like what people think about it in the common like society and parlance these days is that it's gotten into all this wokeism shit of like what is ageism? Like people can't actually tell you what it is because it's all of this identity politics. And so when everything is identity politics, people focus on the identity aspect of it and they actually completely miss or are literally incapable of of and identifying the problem, the mechanism of the problem, and how to solve the problem because they're focused on identity issues. So I feel like that's kind of what's going on with ageism these days. Anyway, okay, let's get back to the book. So the elderly. So they're being barely kept alive. And basically, it's seen as well, we didn't kill them, so we're being nice, right? Like, that's basically what she's saying, I think, in this whole chapter. Like, that's the government position is like, well, we're feeding them enough that they haven't starved to death. So, what more should we be doing for them? Um, the fact that they're predominantly female, I feel so stupid that I never made this connection before. I mean, obviously, we know that women outlive their husbands, women outlive men. Um, I think today it's going to be a pretty short analysis, like less than an hour, because I'm pretty tired. I also kind of feel like the analysis is a little bit pointless when it's just me talking to the live chat. I think it would be better if I had like another woman like with me doing the analysis. And that's not going to happen anytime soon based on the way I run my YouTube channel, but Oh, I totally agree, Matt Adam. I mean, Aqua. Aqua says, I think ageism is going to get really ugly as the climate crisis is blamed on the aging population. It's not good. I agree. Yeah. No? Okay, I'm sorry, I'll leave you alone. And then also she kind of touches on this, but not exactly. So she talks a lot about how elderly women in general are very over medicated, accurate to this day. And she talks about how they're not really given money to live on and they're not really being fed. What she doesn't talk about explicitly is how is the money on the elderly being spent on healthcare slash pharmaceuticals. She talks like she mentions that it's a $12 billion industry running nursing homes, right? So the people who are caring for the elderly, the drug companies, the pharmaceutical industry generally, the old age homes, they're making money off the backs of the old people without actually caring for the old people. So like it's entirely like predatory, the entire business model of the way we treat the elderly. Um, I don't know. I have my great grandmother is, well, now she's in an actual hospital, but she used to live in like, it was like an assisted care facility. Like it was like they had like apartments. They lived like by themselves, but they had like nurses that like checked on them once a day to give them pills and stuff, or like help them if they had like fell down or something. And I remember before she went in and she was like really upset because she was like, once you go in there, it's like a death sentence. And I didn't really get it. I was quite young when she went in anyway. But um, I feel so guilty now because like completely dismissing her and being like, oh, she's just like like she's complaining or something. I mean, I was like quite young. I was like 12 or something when she went in. But now I look and I'm just like, no, of course. Like the fact that I could like dismiss it when she had seen all of her friends going into the old age homes and knew what it was like for them. Okay. So Dworkin talks about how yeah. Then Dworkin talks about how and I didn't know this. I mean, I get it when it comes to Medicaid specifically because I guess it's like it's the welfare system, right? In the US. Also all this American stuff, like I have to be honest, I don't know like that much about it, like the minutia of it. So it's a bit of a strange learning curve for me. Um but like they literally had to liquidate their assets to be like below the threshold to get into Medicaid, like to medical assisted like government funded old age homes. Um and presumably this is because they didn't have enough money to get into private old age homes, right? They were in this like gray area. So the only option for most of them, the way she's describing it, is to like literally become paupers, like to become really poor. And that way, the only people who can have any like financial positivity out of the situation are the pharmaceutical companies. I can't stay up all night anymore either, and I'm only in my 20s. I used to be able to like read all night and go to class in the day, and I can't do that. Well, I don't go to class, but like read all night and go to work, and I can't do that. Okay. Okay. I also think like if we're taking the carrying on the concept from the very beginning of the chapter, which is that there are women who conform, who are doing what they're supposed to do and suffering, women who don't conform, who are not useful. Like these are like the useful women having the good children, doing the good things, the useful women who conform, and the useless women who don't conform. She mentions that the older women fall into the category of useless because they cannot procreate anymore, right? And I think it's very worth pointing out, which she doesn't point out here, um, that if you are elderly, you fall into the category of women who cannot produce babies, women who are not useful to society. And when you are in that category, you are relegated to the you're relegated to being like the receptacles of sexual violence, right? Like if you are of childbearing age and you are in the right kind of situation where you're supposed to be having babies, society generally views it that you need to be treated the right way, like it's conditional to have those babies, right? Like generally, at least social, like at least superficially, right? If you are not in that category, nobody will give a shit when you are sexually abused. I mean, nobody gives a shit, but you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying, right? I just I see all of these stories all the times about like male medical assistants or nurses or whatever in old age homes like raping the old ladies. I see these stories all the time and I'm like nobody gives a shit about them at all. I don't know. Anyway, like just she didn't mention it and I feel like it's all connected to what she was talking about, so worth mentioning. Okay. And when you tie that in with like the drugging, it's like extremely fucking dystopian. Exactly, Cass. Cass says the wrong person might impregnate her, and that's my job. Men. Yeah, exactly. Like nobody, there's no men in positions of authority thinking that when it comes to like elderly women in old age homes. Lest Do You Remember says, I say this, I earned my wrinkles. I grew these through my stress. My wrinkles are not bad things. They are badges of survival. Intense, but yeah. Hmm. I feel you, sister. I think that's the right attitude to have. Um, my stretch marks are also badges. I kind of feel that way about being fat because, like, I obviously have very complicated feelings about my body because I'm a woman. But, like, considering I used to be so anorexic, I used to pass out all the time. The fact that I'm fat, I'm like, I've earned this. Like, I don't. Anyway, whatever. Vaguely similar to what you're saying. Vaguely similar. Um, okay. I also think it's interesting when she mentions these women from Utah specifically, the Mormon housewives, and how specifically what's the rate here? 69% of them are on minor tranquilizers. I don't know what that means, but some kind of psych meds. And I'm like, isn't it against their religious doctrine? At least depending on this, like the strain of Mormonism, to be like doped up on drugs all the time, right? But just how there's all these other situations, like if she was talking about biblical stuff in the last chapter with the Jews and homosexuality chapter, she talked about how there's all these religious tenets about what you should and shouldn't be doing when it comes to sex. But you're allowed to break the rules if it enables the male supremacy in any way. So I think that probably these conservative Mormon women are socially saying, psychiatry is bad, medicine is bad, all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, they're doped up on tranks because it enables them to do their femaleness, which she like points out. But I mean, she just didn't say that specifically, but she kind of said that generally, so I'll just point that out. Um, yeah, Apostle person says they can't even drink coffee. Exactly. They literally Mormonism says that coffee is a drug, just like alcohol or like tobacco. Yeah. Oh my God, let's remember. We need to have a whole stream about that. For real. Like, I had such a complex that I was always being told, like, "Oh, you're so beautiful, you should be a model, blah, 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 blah," when I was, like, little and I was super fucking skeletal. Um, oh my god, Aqua, what the fuck? Um, yeah, she mentions that specifically. There's a figure at some point, um, between 1977 and 1980, Valium was the most prescribed drug in the United States, and then before that, she mentions that, like, most of the people who were on psychiatric drugs, 60 to 80% of the prescriptions for psychiatric drugs were to women. So that means it was predominantly women who were on the Valium at that time. Um, Kaz says sometimes I wonder if a abolition of the nuclear family would help stop the amount of abuse our elders face when the whole family is there to take care of each other. Yeah. Um, I'm very into like communal living for women. And I know that like the feminist analysis of like women all living together intergenerationally and telling the men to fuck off is basically that like the men should have some responsibility, but I kind of don't care. I'd rather like I don't know, maybe this is like my naive young person's perspective on things, but like in the grand scheme of things, if you had like a lot of women banding together like interfamilially and intergenerationally to take care of each other and take care of their kids and everything, yes, it's true that all the labor is being done by men, but it's also true that the men will have way less access to hurt them and their children. And to me, based on my life experience, I think that is like more important. So she talks about the sexism in medicine, and it's so sad that everything that she has to say in 1983 is like 1000% applicable to what is going on right now in medicine. It's very depressing that nothing has changed. Um, she also talks about how the reason it's okay for the doctors to put all of these women on like tons of psychiatric and or addictive medications that they don't really need that will just make them compliant is because what is a woman's purpose? To have sex, to take care of the home. You can do these things when you're like in a brain fog state, mostly. Like, I don't know. It obviously makes sense, but it was just like so like wow. When she said it that way, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. Um, okay. I wish she had talked more about rape and the over medicalization of women, how these two things are connected. She didn't really touch on that at all. Honestly, I don't feel like getting into it right now. I don't feel equipped to get into it right now, but I feel like these things are hardcore connected to each other. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. I can't remember which drug it was because I've been on like 4 different ADHD drugs over my lifetime. When I was 21, I stopped taking all ADHD drugs, and I have to say my life is much better. Um, but one of the ones I was on when I was a kid, the doctor literally told me like the first time he prescribed it, he was like, "This drug used to be used as a weight loss drug in the 1950s, and amphetamine. And so it has like a side effect of weight loss. And I remember being like, not really thinking much about it. I was like, okay. And I was like super anorexic, like passing out in school every day, anorexic. And just like, it's kind of like puberty blockers. I mean, obviously not literally, but kind of, in that this kid is fucking growing. Their body needs to grow. Why are you starving them? You know? And it's like you're like treating a mental illness or whatever. I mean, ADHD is not a mental illness, but you know what I'm saying. This like disorder or whatever. I would even whatever though. Okay, you're treating that, but it's like, what is the long-term effect? You're giving them like a fucking long-term issue with eating if you're gonna put them on that for their entire childhoods. Like, it's horrible. Anyway, okay. I currently have a positive relationship with my dad, but it's like it wasn't easy to get here. And I don't think that it's the norm. Like, I could still have my analysis of things as a class without like my personal anecdotal experience invalidating all of that shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, Bird Kill Me summed it up perfectly. I know one good dad, I know many, 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 many good moms. Yeah. My mom, unfortunately, is not one of those women. Okay. Matt Adams says ADHD meds ruined my appetite to this day, and it has been a long time since I have taken them. Yeah. I remember the last ADHD med I was on, when I stopped it, it was so weird. It was like I was ravenously hungry, but I was like nauseous. And like at the same time, it was like I was really tired, but really jittery. Like stopping it was horrible. And I was like, what the fuck has this been doing to my body? At that med, I was on that med concurrently for like 11 years or something. Leslie Remember says eating disorders in girls and women are still aren't considered serious. Those issues are considered natural, if you will, as if females just hate their bodies anyway, so why worry about it? Yeah, exactly. Wait, Hannah, I don't understand. You did or you didn't go to these schools because of your dad? I understand what your dad thinks and I understand the scholarships you got, but what is the connection between those two things? Okay. Oh, Aqua, there's several of those. It's very disturbing. There's several of these like social media influencers where like yeah. Oh, you fought for them to spite him. Good for you, Hannah. Fuck him. I mean, congrats on going to Oxford. I say as a university dropout. Okay. Momo, you awake, baby? Okay. Eugenia, yeah. I know about her. Okay. Oh my god. I honestly wish there was a whole chapter. There was a whole chapter on the clitoridectomies and the psychosurgery and the lobotomy and all that stuff. I'm sure there's feminist books on that we can read later. She has like a brief mention of like she has 3 phases where she mentions that. The one positive thing I think from dropping, well, there's a couple positives from dropping out of university, but the one I really cling on to is that next time I go to university, I'm going to be very, very careful about where I go and why I'm going there, and pick a place that's like good for me instead of just a place that's like cheap and far away from my family, because that was the criteria for my last university, and it was not great. Okay. So this whole employable mother thing. Like, this is very Jim Crow, isn't it? That like when it was like cotton picking season in the South, the social workers and the welfare officers and stuff just assumed, oh, the black woman is employable right now, so she doesn't need welfare. Like, isn't that basically like what the fuck? That's so fucking like, obviously I know these kind of things, but just to have it pointed out so black and white, it's like so disturbing. Um the employable mother thing now, currently. Yeah, I know, right? Unless you remember says, wait, so like what is an employable father then? Very, very good question. Well, Matt Adam, if you're gonna go to school again, just don't go to school in America. Because even the international school rates that are higher in like Canada or Mexico or something are still much, much lower than in the US. Um, okay, so right, talks about the employable mother thing. Right now, currently, in countries where prostitution is legalized and there's legal brothels, one of the things that's happening is that you have to prove that you've tried to get a job or that you can't work a lot of the time to get welfare or disability or whatever the state run money thing is, okay? So a lot of the time what's happening now is they're saying, "Well, you've tried a lot of jobs, but have you tried prostitution?" And I've seen some stories specifically about I've seen some stories specifically about disabled women in Germany being denied disability because they're like, well, even if you're disabled, so you can't do like, a food service job or like a warehouse or a factory job, like, right, because you're disabled, like, you can still do prostitution. So if you're not willing to try to work, why should the government give you money? So they're basically being forced, like, it's sex trafficking, it's government run sex trafficking, right? Like, even in Germany, I'm pretty sure, um, and in Switzerland too. I mean, okay, well, the cost of living there is a lot, but there's a couple of European countries where for international students to go to school there, the cost is like the enrollment cost, which is like 200 to 500 euros or something. And it's because they consider it like enriching the student environment to have international students there. So they want international students to come. So then really your cost is like the cost of living there. So I really wanted to go to this one school in Geneva, and like the cost of the living in Geneva is like insane. It's like one of the highest in the world. But I kept trying to find like the tuition page on the website and it didn't exist. And I finally emailed someone and they were like, "Yeah, you just have to pay like 200 euros at the beginning of the year to like enroll." And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I like I was like, "What?" So I don't know, just you need to look outside America is what I am saying. Okay. Um, okay, the fornication checks thing. So I have to say, I agreed with like women are being punished for the stuff that they're doing sexually. And when you look at it from the point of view of like, okay, how many of these like single mothers with a bunch of kids are having sex with a man for like pragmatic reasons, right? Not because they want to have sex with this man, not because they love this man or enjoy the sex with this man, for pragmatic reasons, right? Probably a lot of them, probably a huge quantity of them, right? And they're being punished for it, right? But just this whole section on the fornication checks and the women having to tell their social workers like who they slept with, when they slept with them, when they're menstruating, when all of this kind of stuff. It kind of led me back to the second chapter on the politics of intelligence, or intellect, I don't remember what it's called, where she talks about like to have a real sexual intelligence, morality, whatever. You need to be able to start from the position of saying no, so that every time you're saying yes, it's because you want to say yes, not because yes is the implicit and you are just choosing, like, trying to manage the conditions under which you say yes, right? So when you take that perspective on like sex politics for women and you place it into this chapter, it's extremely fucking depressing. It's very, very depressing. Like this thing of they would have home inspections in the middle of the night. I don't know. And this thing where the welfare workers interrogated the children concerning the social and sexual habits of their mothers. Can you imagine being a little girl being interrogated about when your mother is having sex or with who she's having sex? Like, holy crap, man. Can you imagine how traumatizing that would be? I'm very flattered her build killed me. What are your degrees in? Like, what's your field of study? I know at least one person who has I call her Dr. Bean. She's a PhD in statistics who comes on here once in a while when she has time. Oh, dude, Dragon, did you go to Ryerson? Like, where was the big place for journalism when you went to school? I actually thought about going to journalism school for a while. I'm like very curious and all that. Cool. That's awesome. So if you would have graduated now, your diploma would say X university. So stupid. Okay. So basically everything she has to say about the welfare stuff it boils down to women are being pressured that you need to be married, and you need to be married in a situation where the man will take care of you, because we understand that it's like literally impossible for you to take care of yourself, like economically, if you have a bunch of kids and you're like poor and uneducated. It's not like you could just get one good job and everything will be fine, right? Like, who's gonna take care of the kids? Like, it's literally like when it comes to like the management of resources and time, it's impossible. Okay. So basically, all of the welfare stuff she says in this chapter boils down to, are you a poor woman who has children? What you need to do is get married to a man who will replace the state. Because what's the state doing? The state is controlling and judging your sexual practices. The state is controlling and judging your economic needs and all this. You need to just replace the state with a man. That's what you need to do. It's so fucking dystopian and disturbing. Well, not even dystopian, realistic. Here, she says it outright here, okay. So, how is a mother in the welfare population supposed to be a good mother? The answer is always the same. She is not supposed to have had the children to begin with, and she is not supposed to have any more, and her suffering is no more than she deserves. The welfare system combines the imperatives of sex and money. Get a man to marry and support you, or we will punish you and yours until you wish you were dead. But that's why I'm saying that they're doing the same thing, either whether the man or the state, because she also says the women who are conforming, right? The women who are getting married and being housewives and being good mothers according to society, they're also like hugely depressed and unwell and therefore suffering for what they deserve to suffer, right? Just a different version of suffering. Tossstone says this happens here in New Zealand. Single mothers on welfare benefits have no rights at all. Matt Adams says, I remember the first time I read a feminist describe that women are essentially in a constant state of yes to consent unless specified otherwise as a young girl, and it terrified me. Can you remember which feminist it was that you were reading that from? I just want to read more about like sexual politics generally. Like that concept of like you're in a state of yes and all you can do is manage the conditions under which you say yes. That's kind of how I felt the first time I learned what a vagina was. I was it was recess. I was in the 4th grade. I was hanging out with my very good friends Gary and Ethan, who were the school bullies, and they were joking about strippers. I didn't know what that meant, and they started joking about porn. I didn't know what that meant. I was very, very sheltered. And they mentioned the word vagina, and I didn't know what it was. I said, "What's that?" And they said, "It's this hole between your legs for fucking," or something along those lines. I don't remember the exact words, but that's what they said. And I remember being quite shocked and horrified by this. And it because I was like, first of all, I have a female body and I've never seen that. I don't know my own body. That's scary. And also, like, the idea that, like, a man was going to put something inside of me was quite horrifying. But it had a similar psychological effect of what you're describing right now. Like, a similar, like, oh shit, this is terrifying. This is a state of things. This is a terrifying state of things. And this is the way it is, you know? Okay. Okay. Right. So, what I was saying about the employable mother thing. He's like, okay, first of all, in all of these situations, I have never seen a good explanation of who the fuck is supposed to take care of the kids while the mother is working. Like it's like a false concept, the employable mother when there is no one else to take care of the kids. Right? Um also, right, so the employable mother thing. Now in the countries or states or whatever where you have like she references Nevada specifically, right? Where you have legalized prostitution or whatever. I've seen like this it's just so upsetting to me, like this like state sanctioned sex trafficking. Like this is a real thing that's been happening for a long time. Yeah, I became that girl in high school who would beat up the guys who said bad shit to girls. Okay, then Dworkin. Remember, I said this was going to be in under an hour. I jinxed it. Then Dworkin moves on to I mean, this is kind of the same point I was talking about a few minutes ago. This like unsuitable homes thing. So basically, so she mentions in Florida in 1959, 7,000 families of over 30,000 children. I can't do math. What is that? An average of 3 children per home? No, 4 children per home. I can't do math. Were deprived of benefits because of the suitable home law. Basically, there was at least one illegitimate child in the home. I don't even know what to say about that, because at least one of your children was born out of wedlock. That means everyone in that family deserves to starve to death. Like, what the fuck? Um, and yeah, it's entirely based on like religious morality. Um, Even now, when the way that a lot of the welfare laws are written seem quite secular. But if you actually like look at the way that they're carried out, and also the way that the politicians, their attitudes towards it and society's attitudes towards it, it's the same. It's this idea of like, well, you got pregnant and it's your responsibility and you're foisting that on the state. And it's like, but you don't understand the situation that women are in if you really think that. Okay, Hannah says, in the UK, women who had been abused, harassed, and raped by public school boys, rich, very rich, recently started sharing experiences. The huge numbers of girls who were raped by overprivileged rich assholes was shocking to the media. Eden wasn't at the top of the list. My local school was. So glad I told them all to take a running fuck at a rolling donut. I was classy. That's funny. I'm surprised Eden wasn't at the top of the list. Do you think it's because they're not rapists at Eden, or because Eden is like the top of the cream of the crop when it comes to like powerful people's children? Can you be more specific, lest you remember? Oh, they don't have the same access to girls. Okay. But doesn't Eden have like a major issue with like the boys raping each other? Or am I wrong about that? Okay. So yes, the religious moralizing of why the welfare things run the way they are. I think that even though like on paper things have changed, I don't think that when it comes to attitude and practice things have changed that much. Like I literally okay, I have a friend who went for a pelvic ultrasound a couple weeks ago in Canada, in Toronto, big metropolitan area, right? My friend, a lesbian, doesn't really want to talk about that with the women who are giving her the ultrasound and the nurses and stuff there. They tried to ask her like, "Oh, are you pregnant? Oh, do you have a boyfriend? Are you married?" And they were like, if the whole thing was just extremely bizarre. But basically, these women were like very conservative and were treating her as if she must be a virgin because she wasn't currently married. And um or she should be a virgin because she was not currently married or in a committed relationship or something. And this is like in the year 2022 in a like metropolitan area of a like progressive country, Canada. So like I mean that's not to do with welfare, but you see what I'm saying? I'm like even though on paper things are like secular now, in practice they are not secular. So I totally think that everything she's saying about this like the moralizing of motherhood when it comes to welfare and like society at large, totally fucking agree. Yes, Hugh Laurie is why I kind of know about it. I like Hugh Laurie. Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry. Although, like every celebrity, it's like I like them to a point because stupid fucking men are being stupid. Um, Okay. Like, she even acknowledges what I just said. She was like, technically, there was no like policy of sterilizing women on Medicaid who were on welfare who had several children, but it was very common for doctors to do it. And the doctors who were doing it were thinking, oh, I'm lessening the burden on Medicaid and welfare by doing this. So it's like on paper, it doesn't exist, but in practice, it exists. Yeah. how do you screen cap this shit? Oh no. Yes. The screen cap of that post, "A bird killed me," is going to be the first thing I put on my new Twitter account. Maybe it'll be the header of my new Twitter account. Okay. I think I would actually love to be a professor. I think I would find it so fulfilling and so awesome. Even if I taught at some small middle of nowhere university and I got paid nothing, I would think I would be like so happy with a life being a professor. Yeah. Useless Strawberry says reminds me of the one child policy and the free radio for sterilization in India. Yeah. Um, a friend of mine who was from a oh, thanks, Bird. Because I'm very like engaging. I'm not into like reading and memorizing stuff, but like engaging and like pedagogy. Oh my god, I love pedagogy. I mean, obviously here we are only doing like verbally spoken things. It's not like the really great pedagogy, but like whatever. At least it's engaging. It's not me just lecturing at you. Okay. But I had a friend who was born in a USSR country, and her mother, after her second child, she had a C-section, and she said that she didn't realize it at the time. She realized it later. When she had her C-section of her second child, they sterilized her. And it was because the USSR country she was in um didn't have the resources. Like, the country was like failing and they didn't have the resources to take care of the kids and like the family people. Like, the whole country was like in huge, it was a huge issue. Obviously, USSR, enough explained. Okay. Like, it wasn't Russia, it was a smaller country. And that this was like the norm for the women there. Thanks, Strawberry. Oh, by the way, that was loud. By the way, if you are here quite often, someone like Strawberry or Hannah, or I mean, let's remember this is your first time, I think, on the channel, and you would like to be a moderator, please let me know, because my streams are so sporadic that even though I have like 15 moderators, usually there's only one or two of you here. So if you want to be a moderator and you're here quite often, let me know and I'll make you a moderator. Okay. But I don't want to like put it on anyone who feels uncomfortable with that. Yeah. Momo needs her snooze. Momo, I will reward you for being here. She's gonna get fat. Oh, you've been in the stream before, but your first time commenting? Momo, here you go, baby. No, don't be sorry. It's all good. The space is for all the women's, even the ones who don't comment. Boop, boop. Lie down, Momo. Okay. I'm amazed that I got Momo to stay on the pillow. Okay. We're in the home stretch. Oh, you're in Australia, yeah. That's wow. Thanks for being up at this hour. Well, Matt Adam, you weren't here the whole time. Momo was there at the beginning of the reading, and she was only there for like 10 minutes and she left. Momo is Professor McGonagall in disguise. And it's interesting because she points out that one of the only, or like the only positive to having low income, like low social privilege women having babies is that it creates like a penny a penny payable workforce, basically, like what she's saying. And I think about that, and I think about I don't know really how to say this, but at least okay, here's a great example. Asian restaurants and nail salons in Canada are predominantly staffed by like um what's the fucking word? I don't know. Like immigrants who don't have papers. So they're not like they're getting paid like really really cheap. You can even see a similar thing in construction in Toronto. Like the construction bids are going way 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 down by like companies run by immigrants because they're paying their workers like nothing because they're illegal, right? So I was just thinking undocumented, thank you. Fuck's sake, thank you. So when I'm reading this and she's like the only value they had was to create a workforce that was willing to work for nothing. I'm like, so that value doesn't exist anymore either because they can like import that workforce now from the same women but from other countries, right? I don't know. That's not a very fleshed out thought, but that's what I was thinking when I read this part. Oh, Matt Adam, I didn't realize that. You know, I never actually read Harry Potter. I keep wanting to get like a French copy and reading them in French. Matt Adam says, and I was thinking about the Harry Potter houses because for those of you who've not been around a lot, a few streams ago in the discussion we did a vote of your which house you're a part of, and um, we are predominantly Hufflepuffs and Ravenclaws, and Slytherin. Slytherin is like third place. I think I can't remember, but yeah, that they were founded by women. I didn't realize that. I've seen the movies many many times. Okay. She talks about here was something that she mentioned in the first chapter. In the first chapter, she mentions I don't remember the name, some professor who had had tenure for 10 years and who was published, and she was making very little money. And she had done oh right that's why she talked about her. This author had done a study of women in prostitution, and she was looking at um like their income basically. And one of the things that this author and professor had to say was these women are making more money than me. And the point that Dworkin was making at that point in the book was that any sexual labor is viewed as more valuable by a male supremacist society than any intellectual labor by a woman. That was the point she was making then. Here, um, she's mentioning how it was like in New York City, and I'm not going to find the page, am I? I don't remember. No, she mentioned in New York City basically that if welfare is not enough for you, just become a prostitute. Like why wouldn't you do that? You need money, just go do it. You know that it's like something you can do to make money. And the other thing was that when you're in times of crisis where you really need money like right now and the welfare can't help you with that, that you should just turn a trick or two to get some money. like this was like the position, this is what the social workers and the welfare officers were telling the women, okay? And here she's talking about okay, as of December 1981, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that unemployment for females who headed households was nearly twice that of males who headed households, 10.6% for the women, 5.8% for the men. Gail Tellez, who wrote about the sex industry, found it meaningful in terms of sexual liberation that the women in massage parlors giving hand jobs were college graduates and even PhDs. It is meaningful, but in terms of what women have to do to earn money, even with college educations and advanced degrees. The welfare system that seeks to control women and ultimately to destroy expendable women, black and poor white women, Hispanics, and the females of any marginalized group, can count on the continuing poverty of these women as women. They are never going to be better. They are never going to do better because they are women, and there are no social means to enable them to do better, except marriage upward. This kind of ties back to one of the points that Dworkin makes in pornography, which is that women view money as like an escape from patriarchy, but it's not really an escape from patriarchy. Hmm. She does make that point though. In the second chapter of this book, she talks about the politics of intelligence. She makes the point of like what kind of writing women can do and why it's valued from them. But I do agree that the thing on the ageism was quite superficial. Um, but like I said, I think she's trying to like cover a lot of topics in one chapter, and this chapter is already 55 pages long. I'm pretty sure she must have cut out a lot of stuff she meant to put in this chapter. I think we need to read a book, a feminist analysis of ageism, um, or like misogyny and ageism or whatever. Okay. Okay, let's read the last paragraph, which as usual is a whole page long. Let me drink some water. Thanks, Aqua Mom. Okay. The value of female life is determined by its reproductive value. What will happen to all women who are not altogether necessary because their children in particular are not altogether desirable? The old women starving in poverty are starving because their reproductive lives are over and they are worth nothing. Oh, something else I wanted to mention. Okay. Are you guys aware of this thing? Okay, this is just some random article. I don't know what this article is or who wrote it or what the source is. It's just some random article about the topic. Are you guys aware of this thing? Because while I was reading this, I was thinking, even if the grannies can't be used to reproduce, they can still be used as like sexual receptacles for men, right? Like the usable things for men sexually. There's this issue right now in Korea where so they have the same issue that most countries have where their aging population is predominantly women and that they don't fucking give a shit or take care of their aging women like the country. So there's like an epidemic of old ladies in Korea being prostitutes. Like they call them like granny prostitutes or something. Um, and it's like because they don't have enough money to live off of. Um, and some of them even have like it's so sad. Some of them even they still have living husbands and they're doing this to like take care of like their husbands who have like much more health issues and stuff than them. Like it's so disturbing. But like this is a real thing where like there's like a growing population in Japan too. Yeah, there's growing populations of like much older women turning to prostitution for the first time in their lives while they're old because they have no other recourse. Like it's so disturbing. Okay, anyway. The old women incarcerated in cruel nursing homes are there because their reproductive lives are over and they are worth nothing. The women who are too poor or too black or brown or who have too many children are starved and threatened and degraded and slowly killed through state sponsored neglect because they are having children, because they reproduce too much, because the value put on their reproduction is negative and characterized by annihilated disregard. Like Kaz was saying, like fucked if you do, fucked if you don't. The women who are kept in line now, millions upon millions of them each year, through the judicious application of mood altering drugs, are kept chemically happy, calm, tranquil, or energetic, so that they will hang in there, have and raise the children, and keep house for their husbands, even though their lives fill them with distress and addiction is what keeps them conforming. They too are part of a throwaway population of females. Because their own well being is viciously subordinated to a predetermined standard of what a woman is, and what a woman does, and what a woman needs to be a woman. She needs to keep doing female things whether she wants to or not. What are the lives of all these women worth? Is there anything in the way that they are viewed or valued that upholds their human dignity as individuals? They already matter very little. They are treated with cruelty or callous indifference. They have already been thrown away. It is public policy to throw them away. What is going to happen to women when reproduction, the only capacity that women have that men really need, Portnoy's piece of liver can substitute for the rest in hard times? I don't know what that reference is. Who the fuck is Portnoy? What is this thing about the liver? I don't know what that means. Okay. Is no longer the exclusive province of the class women. What is going to happen to women who have only one argument for the importance of their existence? That their reproductive capabilities are worth a little something, shelter, food, solace, minimal respect, when men can make babies. Now we come to the transhumanism. Um, I mean, really, for that, we should just read Transsexual Empire. But I doubt I will. I think Transsexual Empire and Scum are like the two books I will never read on this channel because I think it will get my YouTube channel banned, to be totally honest. Um, yeah, this is why we have cats. I know, Dragon. It's so upsetting. Well, you know, like my whole channel is like a giant fucking trigger warning. Yeah, violent downstairs. Um, you know what? It's the end of the stream. Do you guys want to hear some violin? Do I have enough space here to play violin?